Hey everyone, it's Emily. I'm here with Ripley, and today we're super excited because we are talking all things watches and wonders.
Also, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date on our latest video content.
Now, before we do this, we've got to get into a wrist check. So Ripley, I will let you kick this one off today.
Well, we're talking about Rolex releases. One of the biggest news is we've got a new Air-King. So I'm wearing my own Air-King, a reference 5500.
The OG.
Yeah, the first one, collection was formally introduced in 58. This one's from 66. And we have come a long way from this to the previous one that was announced this morning. What about you?
You're so right. Well, I didn't get to go a part of any of the new news, but I am wearing the candy pink Oyster Perpetual 36, so this one is still available. But some other things that are not, that we will get into a little bit later. So Watches and Wonders 2022, it is here, day one. Lots of stuff came about over the last couple of hours in Geneva that we have got to talk about. Now, we will preface this by saying we are speaking about Rolex releases and I guess discontinues only. So we will save the other brands for another video, so you'll make sure that you guys have to check our YouTube page for that one. But when it comes to Rolex, drum roll, we've got to talk about the GMT Master II.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the most unexpected release. It's almost like they had planned their other releases. We're like, this isn't interesting or noteworthy enough. Like, let's get something in there. I mean,
and dang, did they shock us.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was thinking if they did they've been doing a lot with the GMT in the years leading up to it, so I figured if they do something, with it, it's going to be kind of selective, kind of highbrow, maybe a new precious metal model.
Yep.
But no, we got a new stainless steel model joining the duo that exists, the Pepsi and the Batman, and it's not just a new colorway.
No,
I
it
mean,
is not.
probably the most noteworthy thing, it's a left-hand watch.
It
so
is.
crown's on the left side, as is the date and the Cyclops.
Yep.
Still uses the same caliber 3285. They've just kind of had to rework it so everything points the other direction and the date window lines up. But you get a green and black split color bezel and a green GMT hand. So it's almost like the green and black version of the Batman.
Yes.
That is inverted with a left-hand kind of destro setup.
Everything's closer to the 9, so flipped. Now, the one thing that I do like, you get the option of the Oyster and Jubilee bracelet, which is wonderful.
Yeah, so that's, I think, probably the most noteworthy thing about it. You know, it's not like this weird sort of halo piece that is joining the lineup but is different. It's very different. It's a left-hand drive watch, but which is the only one currently in Rolex's catalog. But it's not. Otherwise it's the same GMT. You get an Oyster Jubilee bracelet, 3285 movement, same identical specs. So it's a new colorway and it sort of fits the same format and offerings, but no, it's a very different watch, and green's my favorite color. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this one. I definitely like it. We're curious, do you guys see the new watch? What do you think about it? Do you like it? Are you a fan of the left side, left-handed, features? I like it. My biggest question too is, okay, so if you're not left-handed and you do end up getting this watch, what wrist do you wear it on?
For me, I think I'd still wear it on.
Me too.
Yeah, I'd still wear it on the same side as always, on my left hand, and I'll just never have to worry about the crown digging into it. Might get a bit awkward. I'm not great with my left hand when it comes to setting it, but I mean, how often do you have to reset it? And if we get rid of daylight savings, that'll be 2 times less per year. So, I personally, I really like it. Phoned my 80 this morning and was quoted about a year or so. So we'll see if I get one.
Okay, yeah. It'll be fun to actually see this one in person. I'm sure it'll be just as beautiful as it kind of looks in all of their photos and renderings. It's a fun one.
Yeah, I'm most curious to see how, I mean, it is effectively the same watch, but I'm really curious to see how that inverted setup is going to alter the wearing experience. Really excited to see it in the metal. Probably the most discussed new release from Rolex, but yeah, I mean, who saw this coming?
Not me.
Yeah.
If you say you did, you're a special one. You've got to let us know if you predicted this. All right, so that's the new GMT Master II. There's also a new Air-King, which we kind of tipped off. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, so the Air-King, a lot of people thought it was going to get discontinued. I mean, here's the outgoing model right here.
Very similar in look.
900. At a glance, you'd be forgiven for thinking that there wasn't a new update to the collection.
Yep.
But no, it's a very different watch, inside and out. I think probably the most surprising thing is, although there is a new model, the dial is largely carried over, which is probably the quirkiest part of the outgoing reference.
I agree, yes.
but it has seen some improvements. So if you notice on this one right here, there's no 0 next to the 5-minute marker. The new one does, it says 05, and so now all of those minute markings feature 2 digits, and it's a bit better balanced.
Yeah, perfectly balanced.
Similarly, a lot of people's gripes on this one is the lume shot on this is pitiful. It's just glowing hands and a glowing 12 o'clock.
Say no more.
Now the Arabics are filled with lume, looks a lot better, and also kind of having white with the white markings balances out a bit better. But most notably, we have crown guards on the Air-King.
Yes.
First time in the collection. I mean, here's where we started.
Yeah.
Here's where we ended up right before this morning. And the new model is way closer to the current one than anything the Air-King's ever done. But with crown guards, it's a lot more tool-like than anything previously. I mean, if you look at my watch, it basically just looks like an Oyster Perpetual, pretty dressy overall. But the new Air-King very much looks like a tool. Got crown guards, new movement, 3230. And I think the big question that I want to know is, has it lost its anti-magnetic capabilities?
They have not released any of the details on that yet, so...
Yeah, so I mean, with the outgoing reference, the 116900, it basically has the same movement and case as the current Milgauss, so highly anti-magnetic. Now, the new one has the 3230, which is the new generation movements, which already offers better anti-magnetism compared to others. But Rolex has made no indication that the new 126-900 Air-King has an internal anti-magnetic shield. So are you really going to have problems with magnetism? Likely not, but the new Air-King might actually not be as anti-magnetic as the previous version.
Yep. Time will tell. It'll be really interesting to sort of see what comes about as people start to receive, I guess, their versions and test it out.
Yeah, and I think it's a healthy change for the Air-King collection. It being a less expensive Milgauss, it was something had to give there, and now the new Air-King is different than the Milgauss from a functional standpoint. It's got the crown guards. I'm shocked we didn't see a new Milgauss.
We all are. We've all been waiting, but...
I look at it this way: I get one more year of Rolex predictions.
You're
coming
only giving
out.
them one more?
In another 11 months, I get to say there will be a new Milgauss and just keep hitting that same button again. But
we are staying hopeful. All right, so when it comes to the new Air-King, what are your thoughts on it? Are you a fan?
Honestly,
You a little underwhelmed?
I like it better than the outgoing model. I think the dial changes are really a positive.
Yes.
I like crown guards. I know it's a bit of a divisive opinion, but I like a smooth bezel with crown guards. I love the Explorer 2. Really tough kind of tooly look. Think it's a positive change for the Air-King, but it would be a shame if it lost its anti-magnetic capabilities. And I personally would have loved to see a greater departure from the dial, even if they just got rid of the colors and made it more of a monochromatic appearance. Just something to make it a little more fresh.
Yeah, it feels a little redundant in certain ways, which I know it's a new watch, so don't yell at me in the comments, guys. It just feels very similar, and I guess for me, I like a little bit of change when it comes to watches. Like, give me a reason to want to add this to my collection, you know? So far, it seems a little too similar, but I guess as people start to wear it and decide for themselves, I will make a decision once I actually get to put it on my wrist. So what do you guys think? Have you seen the new Air-King? If you have, how do you think it compares to the, I guess, outgoing model? Maybe even some of the earlier versions. Definitely let us know in the comments. Overall, a little underwhelming, but still a nice update to the Air-King.
Yeah, I mean, we got to remember this is Rolex. It's a brand that moves at a snail's pace as far as evolution. So you've got the outliers like the new green left-handed GMT, but then we also have the biggest change to the sub in years has been it grew a millimeter. So, you know, the fact that the Air-King now has crown guards and new movement and all that, it kind of looks similar, but at the same time, it's a bigger change than we've seen Rolex do in the past.
Yep, I agree.
And speaking of very little change.
Get to it.
So there is a new sea dweller, a Deepsea rather, and this is kind of, I think, one of those stranger moves. Rolex didn't make any indication that there was going to be a new sea dweller, and if you look at the watch itself, you'd be hard pressed to tell that it's any different than the outgoing model. Still 44 millimeters, still has the black or D blue James Cameron dial, same depth rating, 32-35 movement, but it's now the 136660 rather than the 126660, and we have two different Deepseas here with us right now. Right here we've got the original version, so the 1-1, so the first generation.
Yep.
Then we've got the second generation right here with the black dial. So this is when they updated it slightly. You can see the little coronet there between the 6 o'clock marker. And with that comes slightly wider bracelet, the lugs, a bit thicker clasp. You get the updated 30-35 movement.
Yes.
This makes more sense to me as far as an update. The new one is so similar. The only thing I can think of is they tapered the lugs down a bit, maybe did some slight case
Make it a little bit more
refinements.
comfortable on the
Yeah,
wrist.
and because it is a new middle case, if they do that, it's got to have a new reference number.
Yep.
So it's really more iterative, but there isn't any new selling points other than it's got a new reference number, maybe some updated case proportions. I'm dying to see this one in the metal and compare it side by side, pull out the calipers and take all the measurements, because at a glance, my God, they couldn't be any more similar. This has to be the tiniest change on the planet.
Yep. I think this boils down to wanting to see this in person. You know, how does it feel on the wrist? What does it really look like, I guess, in comparison to the outgoing model? Time will tell on this one for me.
Yeah.
I'm undecided on how I feel about it. Surprised a little bit that they decided to go with a minor update, but...
And also surprised to see the James Cameron dial still a part of it. Everyone's been saying that's on borrowed time, but here we are now in our third iteration of the Deepsea, and they're sticking true to those. I think most notably, though, the bracelet no longer has that additional flip lock fold-out extension, or at least Rolex isn't mentioning it on their website. Maybe it's still included. Obviously, these pages are hours old, so maybe the updates will occur later, but as of now, it looks like that kind of cumbersome fold-out link's been eliminated. You still get the glide lock, but realistically, if you need the glide lock and the flip lock, you're ice diving in a, with a very, very big dry suit.
Thick suit, yes.
Yeah, so I kind of understand why they did that. Realistically, when it's folded up, it makes the clasp a little bit cumbersome.
Yeah. Well, that's the Deepsea. Interesting that there's not a lot to share with you guys, but were you surprised to see that Rolex decided to make a few tweaks to this line? Definitely let us know in the comments. I think it's interesting to note that there also were some changes to the Yacht-Master.
Yeah, so, this is another one where I feel like they're kind of trolling us. Everyone's saying it's going to be the year of the Yacht-Master. None of the Yacht 2 models saw a price hike at 2020. No. There's a prototype titanium Yacht-Master on Ben Ainsley's wrist. We are poised for prime time for new Yacht-Masters, new cool Yacht-Masters. And the new Yacht-Masters are really cool, but they are not that titanium tool-oriented prototype at all.
No.
Solid gold to start, I think so we got the Oyster Flex is kind of where the most notable updates here are. We've got the classic model here in rose gold on an Oyster Flex. 2019 they rolled out the white gold 42, so the new largest size, but it was only in white gold.
Yep.
Now they've added a yellow gold version of basically that same watch, but obviously it expands it. And then to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Yacht-Master, we've got a 40mm white gold model on an Oyster Flex bracelet, and that has the most ridiculous, second most ridiculous Yacht-Master gem set bezel. Diamonds set with diamonds, blue and pink sapphires, inspired by the Aurora Borealis and the color of sunset or something like that. Really cool watch, but it's an off-catalog model, so if you go on the Rolex website, you're not really going to find it outside of their press room, and it's one of those pieces where allocation is going to be super, super tight, kind of like the Gummy Bear Yacht-Master from several years ago. But what we're kind of seeing now is the Yacht-Master collection filling itself out.
Yeah.
Up until this morning, we kind of had the Yacht 42, but only as this one single white gold reference. We had rose gold models, but exclusively on the 37 and 40mm models. Now it's sort of building out. We get yellow gold or white gold on the 42. Technically there's a 40mm in white gold, even if it is off catalog and gem set. But I could easily see this being something where years from now, the Yacht-Master collection has multiple different metal options, multiple different sizes, and Oyster Flex bracelets.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, similar to how the Daytona is, where you get a wealth of options, and it still is a rather elevated model in all of its executions.
I'm a big fan of the 18-karat yellow gold option for the 42. I like the white gold. Definitely was my favorite. Didn't quite feel as luxe as I would like, especially at that price point. So I'm kind of happy to see the 18-karat gold, yellow gold as an option. I think it looks great. I love the simplicity of the all-white text within it. It's just a good kind of counter to the white gold. So
100% agree with you there. I think the biggest, I love the way the white gold Yacht 42 looks.
Yes.
But it is a solid gold Rolex, and that white, the full monochromatic contrast, I almost want that watch to be in stainless steel.
Yeah.
So I think having a yellow gold version overtly luxurious,
Yep.
but at the same time, it still retains those kind of tooly vibes from the original model, which what makes it so cool. So
Yeah.
again, another one I want to see in person.
Very much so.
More iterative than revolutionary on this side, but still
Yep.
exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, very exciting. This one was a fun one for me. I would say it's hard to ignore a left-handed GMT2, but I would say my second kind of favorite update definitely was this 18 karat yellow gold 42 yacht. Beautiful. But those are our opinions. What do you guys think? Are you a fan of these updates to the Yacht-Master? Definitely let us know if there's one that you like more than the others. We're always curious what you guys think. I would wear it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and let us know what you think about the crazy gem set
Yes.
version, because that watch is stunning. Obviously, gem set Rolex watches, especially sport models, can be a bit divisive.
Yeah.
But I think that watch is really fun, really cool. Can't wait to see one in the metal.
It's fun. I don't know that I would add it to my collection, but I'd wear it for the weekend.
Oh, I would happily
it'd be
wear
a
that
fun
for the
one.
weekend. Yeah, if anyone wants to loan that to me, please please keep me in mind.
Find Ripley on Instagram, guys. So these are some of the most notable releases. I think it's important to kind of add to this conversation around the Day-Date.
Yeah, so I think the new Day-Date and new additions to the Datejust
Yes.
collection. In short, I think the biggest news for the Day-Date, yes, you got a bunch of new dials on the 36 and 40 millimeter models, but the biggest news, at least in my opinion, is all about the platinum stuff.
All about it.
So historically, Rolex's fluted bezels were only offered in gold. So you
Yes.
see them in yellow metal, yellow gold, rose gold, obviously white. But when you see in white metal, it was a sign that that was a white gold watch because platinum Day-Dates had smooth bezels.
Exactly.
Telltale sign was the ice blue dial, but at a glance, you could kind of tell a white gold Day-Date versus a platinum one
Yes.
simply due to the bezel, regardless of dial type. Now there's no more smooth bezel Day-Date in any size, and instead you can either have fluted or gem set. What this means is the standard platinum Day-Date in 36 or 40 has a platinum fluted bezel, which is big news, even though it seems like something that you would normally expect to exist.
Yeah.
Yet they still also make white gold Day-Date models. So, if I was buying the platinum one, I'd obviously want that ice blue dial, because if I'm paying platinum prices, I want everyone to know it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a fan of fluted bezels anyway. I don't know. I like seeing this update, albeit relatively small. I think it just kind of elevates the platinum option a little bit more.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I also think it better defines the Day-Date collection.
Yeah.
The Datejust is sort of the catch-all where you get all the bezel variations. The Day-Date, it's the flagship watch on the President bracelet. You want the fluted bezel. On the with the smooth bezel, at a glance, without the ice blue dial, it kind of just looks like even
does.
a steel Datejust.
Blends in a little bit.
Yeah, so I see why they did it. It gives the Datejust a bit more of an identity, and now if you wanted a platinum Day-Date, but you just love the fluted bezel, well, here you go.
Yep, you're in luck.
And then similarly, the Datejust, oh my God, what a bevy of new dials. We've got those crazy floral dials on the 31 models.
Yes.
We get green dials added to the 36 and 41
And
models.
a unique green. It's not really that olive green. It's kind of a sharper, more
Yeah, I think they call it like a mint green or something.
vibrant mint green, yeah.
But it's a little bit more muted than kind of that like pastel-y mint that you
Yes.
normally think of. I really like them. I think the green fluted dial is great. Looks good. And it's great to see just more textured dials, or kind of them expanding that out onto the 41 millimeter models.
It adds a little bit of personality to your watch, I can't say that the new flower motif is my all-time favorite, but it may grow on me. I mean, I remember last year I wasn't the biggest fan of the two-tone Explorer, but here we are. I chose it in one of our recent Watch Talk videos. So nothing short of, I guess, just like whetting my appetite for some newness, and then before you know it, I may be a fan. So at this current state, not the biggest cheerleader for the flower motif, but I do like that they're giving some sort of fun, personalized options.
Yeah, I like little watches, but a 31 millimeter Datejust with a diamond set floral dial just really isn't. I'm not the target demographic for this one. But
Yep.
at the same time, the Datejust is such a iconic, long-standing collection that
Very
it's
true.
fun to see more interesting and kind of playful modern dial variations join the mix. Obviously, classic silver, black champagne, that stuff is classic for a reason. It's always going to be around.
Yeah.
But for someone who wants the Datejust and wants that horology icon, but wants something a little more contemporary, a green fluted dial or palm motif, that's a
Motif
a great way to
is
start that.
still wonderful in my book. I hope that doesn't go anywhere anytime soon.
I mean, I think is these are new editions, even though they're not necessarily new reference numbers
Yep.
outright. But I think new editions are almost less important than some of the stuff leaving the catalog.
I know.
New editions are exciting, but when things are gone, they're gone. And if
Yes.
you were on a wait list for years, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And at that point, there is no chance to buy it new. The price is the price. It's the open market. And
There were some notable
drops, yeah.
some discontinued pieces that we can't have this conversation without actually addressing. So I guess I'm playing my tiny little violin for the Cellini, unfortunately.
Yeah, and when we say discontinued, we don't mean, a watch that was replaced by a different one, like the Air-King was discontinued and replaced by a new Air-King.
Yep.
We're talking about they're just dropped, they're not available anymore, there's not a new version of it, it just doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
So if you look at the Cellini collection right now, the only model on there is the moon phase.
Phase. Mm-hmm.
Who knows if they've got something big planned in mind, but it's probably their least popular watch, but I'm sad to see it go.
I was pretty sad. I mean, it's not a secret. I'm definitely a Cellini fan, even just within all the varieties over the years. I just love the history. I love the simplicity of most of them, even just the uniqueness of it. I guess it not just being the most popular item, I guess I gravitate towards things I don't see all that often. So I'm a little sad, but I guess it just makes my love for it grow even deeper.
Yeah, I don't think this is the last of the Cellini we're seeing. This is maybe just them regrouping. Rolex just can't not offer a dress watch.
Yep.
So who knows if it's going to look radically different, but I think it's a bit telling that everything except the moon phase is gone. So
They're clearly in the process of rethinking some things.
yeah, I'm excited to see that. It'd be really nice to see the Cellini come back with a vengeance and be right up there with some of the other brands' high-profile models.
Yes.
But I think probably bigger news than the Cellini leaving is the fan favorite colorful Oyster Perpetual dials have been drastically cut.
Decisive as of late, but yes, very much notable.
I mean, the hype surrounding these was already at critical mass before this morning.
So true.
And, to quote a coworker of ours, it's literally like driving a gasoline truck into the hype fire at this point. These are watches that they retail for around 5-6K, but you can't buy them at retail at all. Some ones like the Tiffany Blue 41 millimeter model, tens of thousands of dollars, like Daytona prices, you know what I mean? And now they've really cut the colors. There's now no more red or yellow in any of the sizes. The Tiffany Blue in 41 is gone, so if you want that biggest size you're gonna get is 36.
Yes.
You can still get the pink 36, although it was never available for the 41 to start. You can still get the green dial version, but I mean, that's kind of the only colorful dial available for the 41 millimeter model, and that kind of was the fan favorite size.
Yes.
So I can only imagine what's going to happen to the market on these guys.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see sort of price-wise what happens. People were already getting pretty upset at, I guess, just the inability to even get some of these. So they were looking to the secondary market, and prices were relatively steep in comparison to the retail price. And that was before today's announcement. So there's definitely going to be some adjusting when it comes to, I guess, availability and overall secondhand pricing.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. I honestly, I'm really, really curious to see how it ends up shaking out. Keep in mind, they did these for less than 2 years.
Yes.
So these debuted in 2020, but 2020 was the pandemic. What should have debuted around this time of year was pushed all the way to like the fall, late fall.
Yes.
And so it was basically, you got these in 2021, few months of 2020, and then they're gone, largely gone. And so to have something like one of the yellow or red dials or the 41 millimeter Tiffany, fleeting number of those, super hot watch, important when you look at the history of the collection. Yeah, it'll be really curious to see how prices react to this. And it makes sense why they did this. I'm sad to see them go. I love the yellow, but you couldn't have the entry-level model have whimsical colors be such a large component of its offerings.
Yep. I agree. Sad to see them go, but I think some people will be happy to make room for some other wonderful pieces, be it new or just, I guess, surfacing to the top after, I guess, these announcements.
Yeah, and I guess also worth noting is they didn't replace them with something else. So the number of dial options just decreased significantly. It's not like there's a different red or now they have a purple or something.
And they still have their sunburst color options,
They do,
which I do like.
They do, but if we're looking at like the 41 millimeter model, you get black, you get silver, you get that kind of dark sunburst blue, but those are like the three most traditional colors for Rolex dials. You want something fun and playful, you get this guy right here, the green, and that's the only other one you get for the 41. So, you know, if you were hoping for one of the brighter colors and 41 millimeter was the right size, so sorry. You know, that's gone and done. And, you know, no real word about that. Rolex never tells you when they're removing things. You just look at the catalog and they're gone.
And here it is. Well, overall, Watches and Wonders day one when it comes to Rolex releases and I guess things that have dropped off, I'm happy that we were part of it, you know? Some surprises, some maybe underwhelming elements, and some that time will tell, you know? It's tough to really gauge in a matter of hours how this is really going to affect the overall industry, but I'm happy that they're taking some risks, if you will, in some models that maybe are least expected, but at least we've got something fun to play with for the next year, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm honestly more surprised by what Rolex didn't release this year than what they did. Obviously that green, the green GMT with the left-handed crown, no, I did not see that coming whatsoever. But I'm shocked we don't have some new Yacht 2. I'm shocked that the 50th or the 10th anniversary of the Sky Dweller just went by unnoticed, especially after all the teasers of look skyward and all that.
I know. I think they knew what they were doing with
they
that.
absolutely knew. And we get new GMTs, we get new Air-Kings. They're not wrong and look skyward.
And the poor Milgauss. We'll keep waiting for another year, I guess.
Well, you know, come back next time this year. I'm going to tell you there's going to be a new Milgauss in 2023. So
that's awesome. Well, you guys, as always, we're super curious what your thoughts are on Watches and Wonders when it comes to the Rolex releases and some items that have dropped off. So be sure to use the comments and let us know what you thought. Even some things that you maybe like to see. As mentioned, we will be doing another video about the Watches and Wonders releases from other brands, so be sure to stay tuned to our page for that video a little bit later on. So Ripley, always good to see you. Thank you so much for the details. Until next time, you guys, be well.